Hello and welcome everyone. I am Jordan Luker and I'm your host for today's special event. We all hear about the future, the artificial intelligence and search, but what does that really mean? If you're curious about these cutting edge technologies, you're in for a treat today because our special guest is Dena Saunders, a top AI and search expert from Microsoft, and she'll be giving us an introduction to the world of AI and search and answering all your burning questions. So without further ado, let's welcome Dena. How's it going, Dena?
Hi, George. Good morning. It's so nice to hear. It's so nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, it's an honor to have you. I know this is things on everyone's mind right now is AI. But before we dive in directly into that, can you give us a little bit about your background, how you got into the field of AI? We'd love to know more.
Oh, great question. So I've actually worked in search for years, and search in many ways has been a foundation for AI, whether it's the data that we have, the infrastructure that we use. It's really formed the foundation for the innovation that you're actually seeing in artificial intelligence currently. For me, I love big, complex problems, those kind of gnarly things that are really hard to ship at scale. And so it's been exciting over the past year to really be going in depth in AI, and it's really been cutting edge. These days, I'm most known for being the product leader of the team who brought together the magic behind behind new Bing combined with OpenAI's GPT-4 model.
Very cool. And there's a lot of magic to literally unpack with all the things that are happening in AI. And we're really excited to have you part of this discussion. But to set the stage, let's start from the beginning, the fundamentals. What does AI stand for? And how can I better explain it to people that may not understand what AI is?
You bet. So I think a lot of people think of AI, they think of movies related to AI. So let me kind of break it down. So AI stands for artificial intelligence. It's really the art of creating algorithms or programs that can perform tasks that normally require human intelligence, such as learning, reasoning, and problem solving. That's a more official definition. Unofficially, the way that I explain it, especially to friends and family, is think about your kids at school. They're like sponges. They seek information, they absorb, they take a look at patterns, and then they're able to answer questions based on those patterns. So if you think about that when it comes to AI, imagine that there's an AI model, and every year it kind of goes to school and gets a little bit better. It gets more data, it gets more context, it develops more advanced reasoning capabilities. And much like in school, as you learn facts and information, you also learn, as we talked about, recognizing patterns. And that's in many ways what AI is doing. It's kind of training every year. And the reason why it's so exciting this year is it's really finally trained to that point where it feels in many ways very human-like in how it can respond to questions, how it can understand your language. And that's a game changer. And that's why you can see so much excitement about AI.
No, I love that, Dena. And thank you so much for the analogy. That sponge, kind of like orchestration, that makes so much sense. And like for family dinners now, I'll be able to use that as like kind of the prop to kind of build around like what AI is. Another thing that I hear a lot about is GPT. Can you explain a little bit more about that and maybe some examples of how it works?
Yeah, great question. So GPT, it stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer, which sounds like a really fancy term, but what it actually is referring to is a family of artificial intelligence language models that can generate natural language text based on a given input or prompt. And we'll talk a little bit more about prompt and prompt engineering later. GPT models are trained on large amounts of data, and a range of sources. And what they can do is they can learn to predict the next word or sentence given a previous context. And we'll talk a little bit later about that, but it's a lot like it knows how to complete a sentence, but because it's had so much access to data, it's really good at completing sentences. And that's what you see everybody so excited about.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Like, finish each other's sentences and having the AI be a part of that. That's really, really cool. Could you give an example of how AI is being used in the industry today and maybe share like a prompt that you like to interact with it?
Yeah, so great question. It's safe to say, we'll talk a little bit more about kind of AI and search a little bit later, but we're definitely seeing a proliferation of AI across industries. For example, Microsoft just announced Microsoft Office and productivity tools related to AI. Healthcare industries are using AI to help with understanding patients, looking at patterns, even sometimes with diagnosis. We're seeing artists explore mediums and creation, including actually just yesterday, I saw some awesome fashion examples. We're really seeing AI show show up in a range of different industries, and including shopping, entertainment, sports. You can really see that the sky's the limit.
Yeah, I love
In
that
terms
too, and because it touching so many different things, right? It's like it is this companion to like whatever it is. Like I love the examples you gave, like fashion, traveling, wherever you are. Like AI can really be a kind of this like assistant to you to make it better and more efficient. So I just so much to like explore and uncover with the power of AI.
Exactly. I'm so glad you mentioned travel because, in terms of my favorite examples, travel is one of them. I think about things like travel and shopping because these are time-intensive tasks where you're looking up and you're trying to figure out reviews and you're comparing things. And for many of us, historically, what we would do is we would do many searches. We would go click on web pages and dig in depth. And some web pages are good, some web pages are bad, and it's hard to figure out which ones are authoritative sources. And so for me, my favorite example is really travel because it shows you how much easier everything can become. And it's exciting because you can see the possibilities here. So actually, is it okay if I show you?
Absolutely, we would love that.
Awesome. So let's start with this example here. So I love to travel in Europe, and in particular, we're actually in the midst of planning a trip to Italy. So I'm going to write here, hey, I love to travel to Europe. Give me a 5-day itinerary in Italy. I want to enjoy warm beaches, discover amazing artists, and learn about local Italian culture. By the way, I don't know if you would remember this, but when you first started search, if you put in a sentence like this is years ago when you might have tried a search engine for the first time, a search engine would never have understood this to begin with. We all kind of learned to speak search speak, where we kind of break things apart into terms. These kind of natural sentences, this is where the beauty is. This is where things get really exciting, especially when you start to combine it with voice. So let's give this a try. And a couple things that I want to point out. This is, by the way, Bing's new chat experience. It's kind of an immersive chat experience where it blends the best of chat, but also search. And so here you can see that it's doing a few searches. It's taking apart the language that I just wrote. It broke it apart into a few searches that are related to it. And then it's working on a response that's streaming in live. Incidentally, when you're streaming, it's streaming in what we call tokens, but actually that's really just a fancy name for words coming in, and it's streaming it real time. And we'll talk a little bit more about what it takes to really deliver this. And as you can see here, it's actually showing 5 sample days. I'm actually kind of excited about this. So we can go to Rome, we can go to Florence. It seems like there's lots of opportunities here. And it's also, of course, sharing a map and giving these additional details of locations that it's choosing. All of these things it's doing on its own behind the scenes instead of hours of me researching and building and pulling together an itinerary. What I also love about this is that it actually shows you sources so that you can hover on them and dig deeper for those areas where you want to learn more. For me, these kind of scenarios that you spend a lot of time and lots of hours researching, that's where this stuff really shines. And I guess one of my favorite examples right now is while I'm kind of thinking about Tuscany and Italy. Actually, let me put this in here. Let's see. Create an image of the Tuscan countryside in the sunshine. And George, I don't know if you're experiencing this weather, but I'm in the Pacific Northwest, and I will say spring has not quite come yet. It is cold and it is pretty miserable, and it is raining right now. How's the weather where you are?
Oh, I'm in Minneapolis, so we're constantly getting, the surprise April snow, which is like you think it'd just be showers, but it's just straight up just dumps of snow.
Most definitely. I think for us, we had like a brief pocket of sunshine that came out. So I'm going to create an image of Tuscan sunshine just to kind of enjoy it for a little bit until the actual trip happens. And here you can see it understood my natural language. I just said, hey, like create an image of a Tuscan countryside in the sunshine. And you can see it gives me 4 examples of this. And they're gorgeous and elegant, and I can edit them. And I think the biggest thing I want you to take away is that there is no one specific application for AI. It's generalized intelligence. It can do lots of things. And so we just talked about traveling as a task. But Georgia, is it okay if I show a couple other notes? Do you have time?
Please, please.
Okay. Okay, cool. So I like to use it in everyday tasks. Without going into the specifics, it's safe to say that one of our walls has a hole in it. It is a small hole, and we're going to be spending this weekend at Home Depot, kind of working through it. So I thought of this example today, actually. Here you can see I look up, hey, how do you repair drywall? How do you repair a hole in a drywall? And you get like long videos or long articles, and I don't know about you, but I don't have time to go through all of this stuff in a lot of depth. And so one of my favorite things to use AI for is to summarize things or to just answer things in a really quick way. So here you can see if you press the B icon in Edge, which by the way, Edge is the best place to try the new Bing, incidentally. And so I'd mentioned that summarization is amazing when it comes to AI. It can just take something really long and give you just the quick TLDR of what you need to know. And so here it's saying, look, there are 6 ways to fix holes. We've pulled it out of this article. It summarizes and says, look, are you trying to fix a deep crack? Are you trying to fix something that's on the corner? Is it a large hole? And so I'm thinking, okay, I don't want to go through all of this article and figure that out. Let's see. What do I need to buy to fix I think it's like about the size of a quarter, a one inch hole. All right, so a couple things that I'm going to have you notice. So first of all, when I ask this question, again, if I put this into a regular standard search engine, it would have no idea what I'm talking about. A hole where? Are you trying to dig something in the dirt? It's missing all of the context. So one of the things to keep in mind when you're learning about AI is a lot of the products that you see for AI carry context. That's incredibly powerful because it allows it to answer questions related to the context. So in this case, not only is it understanding the context that I'm capturing, but it's looking at the page and it's pulling out information. And it's saying, okay, based on this web page, if you want to actually fix this kind of 1-inch hole, you need to get a reinforced center panel, self-sticking tape, and a putty knife along with sandpaper. And so it makes this task of going through and pulling out all this information near instantaneous, which I think for many people, when they think of AI, they aren't thinking about how do you fix a hole on your drywall, or how do you sort a recipe by aisles at a grocery store. Those aren't common ways that people think about AI, but I want people to discover that it's really can be a huge tool in your everyday life. All right, George, I know you're a busy guy, but can I show you one more thing?
Oh yeah, of course.
All right. So let's talk about creation and composing, which is another space where we're seeing proliferation of AI technologies. So let me actually switch over to this compose tab. So I was planning that trip to Italy. I really want my friends Eric and George to join me on it. And so let me kind of pull together something that encourages them to come with me. And by the way, Eric and John love photography, so I'm going to tell them to bring their gear. So let's see. Can you write a letter? Who writes letters these days? Emails. Email asking Eric and John to join me for a trip to Italy. Promise them amazing scenic views, and encourage them to bring their gear. All right, so definitely not professional, casual, maybe. I'm going to say enthusiastic because I'm really excited about this trip to Italy. As you can tell, I've said it like 4 times. And let's do short here. So it's taking a moment to create. And when it comes to creation, AI can do amazing things. It can create poetry. It can create raps. It can create music. It can create language. I use it to rewrite stuff. I have gotten way better at writing emails since I've started to use AI because I just ask it to rewrite it, and it does amazing. So here you can see it pulls together a letter here, and it says, hey, I've got some exciting news to you. I'm going to Italy. We can visit all of these cities. Are you in? Would you like to join? And here I can just right here, click into the email that I'm writing and just add it right there. Boom. I think the thing I want people to take away as you're learning about AI is different people will use it in different ways. And here we talked about summarization, creation, or trip planning. But as I mentioned, the sky's the limit.
I love it. I love it. And like, I guess 3 quick things. One, you made a lot of home improvement and renovation people very happy, not having to like scour, articles and figure out how to fix drywalls, including myself. And then second, like, thanks for the time of walking through this. It's just so nice to be able to like, see the different small capabilities of it. And then third, like, I love that you shared like the range of different things, both ends. One is like, kickstarting idea, like you're trying to plan a trip for Tuscany, like where to get started, maybe some inspiration of like what the days will be like. But then also on the other end is like you're auditing these different articles and pages and long text, and making that a little bit more efficient and having like, cutting right to the stuff that you need. And then that creation piece is also such a game changer too. Like, again, like helping you get started and then being able to, tailor to your voice and to what you want to say is really, really cool. So thank you so much, Dena, for walking through that. That was very, very eye-opening and really cool to like, get my gears turning on like what's possible with AI.
Awesome. I'm so glad. And I think that one of the neat things is the more you use it, the more that you'll discover that you can do. And so I find that when I first started, I tried a few things, especially questions and answers. For some reason, everyone thinks AI is just really good at answering questions. Oh, it's such a game changer when you start to try a bunch of different things. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Yeah, totally. And as we're getting more well-versed in AI, is there any other terms that we should be aware of when it comes to search in AI?
You know, that's a good question. I'm actually surprised that you didn't mention LLM, or which is a common term you'll hear, large language models. This is a term that refers to AI models that can generate natural language text from large amounts of data. Large language models use deep neural networks, such as transformers, to learn from billions and trillions of words and can produce text on almost any topic or domain. Earlier, I had mentioned generalized AI. Historically, chatbots oftentimes could talk about a very specific topic, which really ultimately limited their use. With LLMs, you can really see that there's an opportunity to have more generalized intelligence. So you can ask about all kinds of things, whether it's movies that you're doing, the dishes that you're cooking, the stuff that you're shopping for. And I think that's what really makes this technology so much more approachable to a range of folks worldwide because they can do so many things.
Totally. And how does this, I guess, to bring it back to what you said earlier, how to compare to the sponge analogy?
Yeah, comparing to the sponge analogy, let me think through. So actually, it is the right connection, because if you think about it, with these long language models, it's a lot like when you're at school, which is you can get more and more advanced, both in terms of the types of context that you can understand. So what you can understand in fifth grade looks very different than what you can understand in first grade. And gosh, I hope you can understand more in middle school as well. So think about first, LMs have really become quite advanced so that they can really understand much larger pieces of context with more data and more advanced sophistication. Then on top of that, they've also become much more advanced in their capacity for responses. And this is where what you might write in first grade in your journal will hopefully look very different than the essay that you write for eighth grade. And so I think what you're seeing is that these LMs have become so advanced that they are really both understanding what you're saying and returning responses in a way that feels very natural and feels a lot like a human. And that's, I think, where everyone gets excited. Incidentally, I would say if you haven't already, put in a joke and then ask these models to explain the joke. The nuanced understanding of sarcasm and things like that just years ago wasn't there. And so I think the nuanced natural language understanding combined with all of these LLM models is really changing how we approach what we think is possible in terms of communication.
That makes a ton of sense. And thanks for breaking that down for me. That really helps because it is like that capacity for learning, right? Like as like the first grader to a fifth grader, you've learned so much, you have that foundational knowledge, and then now like as a fifth grader, you have a little bit more of that tenured to be able to make those like different educated decisions, whether it be journaling or solving problems. So that's really helpful to hear.
Exactly.
Okay, so we talked about how search and AI work together. Can we deep dive a little bit more into that?
Yeah, so it's interesting that you kind of mentioned kind of information. So one of the reasons why we've really combined search and chat, which is Bing's representation of AI, is that they have different strengths. And when you combine them together, that's when the magic really happens. So when it comes to search, oftentimes you might have a navigational intent. For example, you might be searching for a website such as Amazon or YouTube. Chat's a little different. Chat isn't, you don't know exactly where you're going, but you're asking questions to learn more. This is where thinking about AI more like a reasoning engine becomes really, really important. So it's kind of like, best way I could describe it is a brain. But in order for a brain to function, it also needs fresh data and fresh information. So if you just have your brain, but you had no idea that yesterday Microsoft stock price went up or that your favorite team won a game last night, you're missing that context that can really help you get information. And so as part of this, I would encourage kind of learning about exactly how these things work together. We've pulled together some information about how search works with AI in the new Bing. Actually, incidentally, Prometheus was our code name for this project, which is kind of cool in the background. There's a lot you can learn here, but the biggest things to take away is that we're taking that advanced GPT technology that we were talking about earlier, and we're combining it with fresh data such as news and sports. You'll oftentimes hear in news articles this referred to as grounding. Grounding really just means helping this reasoning engine have fresh and important and contextual data that can give you the best response possible. So with that, I'm only scratching the surface for sure. Well, when you think about search and AI, the possibilities are really endless. AI brings natural language understanding, reasoning, problem solving, as we talked about, creation and summarization. And when you combine that with the amazing foundation that exists in search, especially with fresh contextual data, this is where the magic happens. And this is where we can help support you in your day-to-day tasks.
I love it, Dena. Thank you so much. I know it's kind of meta, like this is so much to unpack, both AI being so much, but then also trying to explain it. But thank you so much for digesting it for us to kind of understand. And the piece about grounding it, getting that accurate information is so helpful to hear. Like that's what you need to have that context to give an accurate answer, and that's exactly what AI is doing. So that's really, really cool. And again, thanks for sharing all this. There's talk about AI almost daily, and having this context is very, very helpful. All right. First question. How do you envision AI impacting society in the next 5 to 10 years? Oof, big question.
That actually is a really hard question. And I know there's a lot of folks who are trying to answer it. So I can give you my take. I think we are definitely ushering in a new era for sure. In many ways, it's as significant as the introduction of PCs, the internet, even the explosion of mobile devices. So certainly this is a disruption in many ways. AI will fundamentally transform how we research, how we learn, complete tasks, and really go about creating the next innovations that we have in society. It's difficult to predict, but unquestionably, I think it will touch every field in so much way, whether it's healthcare, science, art, entertainment, commerce. I think we talked about sports earlier. I think every field will, in many ways, determine how best to use AI to further innovation. And with each, we're going to learn a whole lot.
Yeah, it's kind of cool too. Like, everyone being a part of it in a sense, this monumental moment of like how it like can, affect us and we can use it and leverage it is really cool. And like you said, like there's a lot of different pieces that are touched, in different industries, and it's cool to collectively be a part of it. So exciting to see what happens next.
You and me both. I can't wait to see what people do with AI, and I think there's going to be so much fun ahead.
Yeah. Speaking of that excitement, is there anything you can share, developments related to AI that you and your team are working on?
I thought you might ask this. Sorry, George, to tell you. So, firstly, it's safe to say Bing is iterating daily. For those of you who are watching us, we are shipping stuff. We're having so much fun. We're constantly iterating based on your feedback. By the way, please keep sending us the feedback. We're learning a whole lot, and we're definitely integrating your thoughts into the product work that we do every single day. With that said, we have a lot of exciting stuff. I can't talk about it today, but what I will say is stay tuned. There's more to come.
You heard it here. Stay tuned. We'll appreciate it. We know that there's a lot of things to really, that closely tight knit that need to be revealed, but we're excited to see what comes next. So with that, then I guess for final thoughts, for people that are new to AI, what advice would you give them to get started?
New to AI. Well, I would say if you're using AI, give it a try, explore, learn, try out questions. My aha moment wasn't when I was asking simple questions with simple answers. Experiment with putting in big paragraphs. Say, hey, can you rewrite this? Or could you summarize this? Or could you brainstorm with me? I don't know if folks realize, but with AI, you can brainstorm. I think the biggest thing I would say is if you're new to AI, try a lot of different things and be open-minded and try things that are advanced, try things that can simplify your day-to-day life. You'd be surprised at what is possible. And for those of you who are working or learning about AI, or you're using it in your day-to-day work, I would say seize the moment. In addition to trying out lots of technology, there are constantly new use cases that are evolving. There's more that will surface as people use this technology. And the good news here is that history is being written and you have this chance to shape it. Embrace that opportunity, give everything a try, and be creative and look for those opportunities to really embrace the new wave and see how you can use it to support you.
I love it. That is sensational advice. And again, I want to extend just a heartfelt thank you to you, Dena, for joining us today. We are in a special moment in time, like a point in time that we will remember, like looking back on, and you sharing your knowledge and insights of this fascinating world of AI and search. It's just really, really a pleasure. We hope everyone in the audience, you've learned something new and exciting and feel inspired to explore the possibilities of AI further. But again, thanks for attending today's event. Thank you, Dena, for being here with us and answering our burning questions. This has been a wonderful time.
It's been my pleasure. I'm super excited about ushering in this new era, and I can't wait to see what everybody does together with it.
Thank you so much. All right, now friends, before we sign off, we want to share an exciting update. At Flip, serving our community and our mission to make learning fun and empowering for all at the heart of every decision we make, we asked ourselves, how can AI technology help our Flip community save time and enrich that learning process? Introducing now Topic Copilot, a new AI-powered feature in Flip to help you save time by providing you a list of topic suggestions in your classroom in seconds. Let's see it in action. And with that, we're coming to the end of our event for today. But don't worry, we have Flip events happening almost every week, and May has some exciting events in store for you and your classroom. On May 4th, we will be meeting the author of Circle Around Us and creator of Kid President, Brad Montague. And in May, as you might know, is Teacher Appreciation Month. So on May 9th, we have a special event to celebrate you, the educators and the educators in your life. And then on May 18th, we'll be welcoming Star Trek actor and best-selling author John Cho. And save the date, May 22nd, AI, another exciting conversation, this time focusing on AI in education with the incredible educator, Holly Clark, sharing insights, tips, and ideas of how to introduce or use AI tools in your class. Visit aka.ms/Flip events to sign up for any of those events for free today. That's it for today. I'm your host, George Malukrin, on behalf of Flip and our amazing guest, Dena Saunders. Thank you for spending time with us, and until then, take care.